Okay, welcome to Run, Race, Repeat, the live show where we talk about all things running from training to racing. If it's got to do with running, we will talk about it. Welcome, my name is Doug Pierce, joined by Brett Elmacy from Dover Foxcroft. The title here says Staten Island, New York, but I'm actually in Maine right now. I am in the
Don't
Western
judge him,
Mountains.
guys. Yeah. Don't judge him, Mainers. All right.
Yeah.
Don't. He's a Mainer. He prepared for this, so just don't. Let him be.
Yeah. I was born and raised Maine. So, and I'll be here for a little while, so get used to me.
That's right.
Yeah. But Brett, so today we're going to be talking about running in the heat, both training in it and racing in it. We're going to kind of share the tips that we've kind of learned over the years, and also share some of our experiences, racing in it, and how that's kind of how we got through it, and how that's kind of affected our approach. But first, we will do our first segment here. It is the check-in, Brett's favorite. So I'll kind of go first because I've just been doing not too much. I was sick, and before that I had the ankle thing, so I'm still doing just light stuff. Nothing to really comment on, really, man. How was your week?
This past week I've done 5 days so far. I'll do one tomorrow, or two. I've done I think 4 or 5 days so far. So I've been doing again a basic 3.5 to 4.5 miles. Again, more accelerations, more routes. I had to retire a pair of shoes I've been wearing a long time. The one I wore for the Maine Marathon last year, which I loved, the Reebok. It was the Reebok, almost like a racing shoe. But it's good for speed workouts. Yep.
So it was like a racing flat type shoe?
Almost like a flat, but also used for training.
Okay.
It's lighter, but I'm trying to find a different shoe that's also light for me to take with me. I'll be going to Cambodia, so at the end of August for over a year. So, guys, this could be one of our last podcasts, at least for a while. So we're trying to get to episode 10 hopefully next week together. As we mentioned before, running together with the selfie stick, which, Doug, I will maybe talk to you.
I know you're looking forward to that, Brett. I
will give you my final analysis on the selfie stick gate from the last time we spoke about this. But guys, so this is one of our last ones. So, that's about it, Doug. I say about maybe 25 miles a week. I'm still going 5-6 days, still doing my core, still doing my weights. But I got to kind of, a little more variety is my issue,
It's gonna be interesting when you do make the move to Cambodia, because with your running, you're gonna have to find new routes to run. You gotta find your groove over there, man.
Yeah. So
right?
So Doug, everybody else, I'll be helping starting up, and I'll be head of a new school there. The running portion is I do have the Boston Marathon next April, so my issue is going to be not only running, but training for a marathon in a foreign country later this year and part of next year.
Maybe. Yeah, I wonder what the weather's like over there.
It's hot. It's warm. So that's part of the good news, Doug, is that I will no longer be training in Maine, like northern Maine weather, which I'm gonna love not doing.
No snow and ice, you mean? Is that what you're talking about?
No snow and ice. No me falling down and slamming the ice with my fist. And yelling out in the dark.
I think we're gonna get to this a little bit later, but that is, I think, actually an advantage to doing Boston, is when you train in a warmer climate. Because I do think it's better to train in a warmer climate and have it be colder than train in a colder season and then run Boston, where in the spring it could be hot, or it could be
Right.
freezing rain, and like it was a couple of years ago, whatever. But yeah, so I think that might actually be working to your favor, man.
Yeah, I mean, I can roll with the foreign country thing. I'll be living on a college campus, so it's going to be in a safer area. It's a matter of trying to balance work life with that running, which I think I'll get used to.
Yeah, yeah. I just meant like
But
it's
I
moving to a different place. You do have to find your kind of your roots to run, right? It's kind of
You got to find those roots.
yeah,
Which, but hey, guys, I mean, look, Doug, I could probably maybe update somehow. We could, even though it's a huge time difference, it was impossible for us to do our podcast together. But if you continue it yourself with somebody else, or we somehow upload things to our page,
yeah. I mean, if I do carry it on, we'll definitely have to have like dispatches from Cambodia, where we get you to
I
like
mean,
pre-record something, and I can like play
oh,
it, so you can check in with
oh
us
yeah,
all.
man.
Yeah, but okay, so training in the heat, it's just straight up harder, right? It's just physiologically, you when you're training in those hot summer months, it just takes a bigger toll on your body, and you're exerting yourself really significantly more. And so you have to, this kind of goes back to the young buck training days, where you would just be like, my schedule says I'm gonna do 5 miles today, so I'm gonna do 5 miles. And I think more mature runners, or wiser runners, realize that you should totally adjust your workout on a day that's hot, especially if it's hot and humid, right? If there's a high dew point, you should feel free, I think, to definitely lessen the pace and lessen the mileage. And if you're doing like a hard workout, maybe move it to another day,
Right.
or at least adjust it down in terms of the quality you're doing. Don't you agree, Brett?
I agree, Doug. I've learned a lot over these past 2 years of running in the heat. I was very ignorant of what I should be doing, very lazy. I mean, even sunscreen I avoided for a while, but the past 3 years or so, I've been better about. I've been on point about it. But also, so Doug, a couple of
Yeah.
things I want to mention about what I've changed up with my hot, humid weather running
Yeah.
is
Say that three times
is
fast.
now exactly is my clothing is lighter.
Oh yeah.
So like, either I'll go. I mean, for guys different, but like I'll go no shirt sometimes, or I'll go light. Light colored, light fabric clothing. I wear a hat or a headband,
Yep.
sunglasses. The headbands I use actually absorb the sweat. It's pretty great. But yeah, those are things that I do. Doug, I'm not sure about you. What your fashion statement when you run on
Yeah.
hot weather?
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely wearing, the synthetic light wicking fabrics. I can't imagine running in the hot weather without those now.
Right.
And yes, sunscreen is definitely one thing that I've been historically not the greatest with applying that, but I've gotten better, especially in the areas that, when you're running, the sun is going to hit you in the back of the neck,
Right.
the forehead,
Right.
the nose, the cheekbones. So at least getting a good application there. But really, it's also, too, I've gotten a lot better with taking in fluids.
Okay.
And running in on Staten Island, this I make sure to stop by parks on my routes and drink from the water fountains. Maybe
Right.
not so much this this summer.
Right.
With all
Right.
the
Right. Right.
germ phobia going on out there, but that's what I the last several years I'll kind of just make sure I'm stopping by. That way I don't have to carry it. I don't know if you carry your own like sports drink or water with you when you run, Brett. But
Doug, I will say, yeah, I will say that I didn't for years. I just didn't want to. I've invested in certain packs that either like one that goes around your waist or on your
yeah,
back, and they're not bad. Some people love it. I ended up not loving it. I ended up
yeah,
not liking wearing a pack,
no,
especially on a 15, 20 mile run. So
yeah,
now I actually finally bought a handheld bottle, a Velcro on. Basically, you can just put it around your hand and hold it, and you can Velcro it in, and you can just. It's comfortable. Um, it's not in the way. So I've invested in that, guys. Amazon does have those, I believe. If you, they're all over the place, but ones that you can carry it will be strapped in.
yeah. It's funny because I don't carry anything with me now because I have access to a bunch of water fountains, but and I used to do a lot of trail running. That's exactly the solution I turn to in the end that I like the most. It's just, yeah, like you said, you strap it right into your hand. It's a water bottle. You're holding onto it, but it's strapped around your hand. And I just find that way more comfortable than like wearing something on my like hips. Because I did that too.
Right,
Like I had a belt with like these little like kidney shaped bottles like in my like
right, right, right,
holsters.
huh.
I
Right,
just, I
right.
just don't I just don't like the feel of it. And I've tried to like running with like a backpack. I hate that too. I don't like that as well.
Yeah, Doug, and even I went. I mean, I bought a camel pack. I've done all these things, and they were light, but I just found that it wasn't comfortable for me. I don't like having to wear things. So, and guys, if you don't want to hold anything, my other advice is, and I think Doug, I think we touched on this a few weeks ago, but
Yeah.
episode. But where I live, what I've done now is I will either carry one and I'll leave one on my car or near my car.
Yeah.
So when I live in a smaller town, so when I loop around, I can come back and switch it and not even stop.
Yeah.
Um, Also, if you feel like you can stop, and I would find a route that's closer to your place, you can refill a bottle or have, stop. It depends on who you are. If you are a hardcore training for a race and you don't want to stop, I would suggest investing in, if you like the whole pack thing or the waist pack thing, or the handheld thing, I would definitely invest in that. Or figure out a way to have bottles somewhere stored, either along your route or by your house.
Yeah. I mean, that's what most pro runners do, or like elite runners. They'll have coaches or even do it themselves with like you, Brett, where they go around and they'll just drop off their bottles along their route, and that way
Right.
they can just grab them along the run. Also another thing you could do is just bring some money with you and stop at like a store and buy a bottle of water or something. That too. I mean, it's not you're not going to stop for that long to walk into a local deli or something and pick up a
You
bottle of
can,
water.
and Doug, as you know, and everybody out there, it depends on what you prefer. All these options are for every type of runner. Um, I don't love stopping, so I'm more of like either I'm going to carry something, or have it nearby. I don't have to stop.
Yeah.
And if you feel like you're chill and you want to stop during a run, as Doug said, buy a bottle, or as I said, get back to your house and have something, and then go out again. But guys, just remember that you know part of why it's important to refuel is that they say that every 20 minutes you lose between 6 and 12 ounces of fluid every 20 minutes that you run, depending upon the heat. And you should drink something every 20 to 30 minutes if it is hot out. So it's important to gain back those ounces.
Yeah, and also you got to consider how much salt you're losing as
Correct.
well, because that's kind of an argument for not drinking just water. You should drink some sports drink, with some salt in, or salt tablets
Right.
are popular as well, and that's definitely something to consider because I know it can be dangerous to sweat a lot and then take in just water because you'll like be flushing yourself out more and you'll lose even more salt, and you can actually it's actually pretty dangerous. People have gotten really
Right.
sick through just
Right.
a deficit of salt. So
Right. And yeah, so like what I do, Doug, is my strategy is I drink Gatorade 2. Um, the two type is basically less sugar than the regular. I also, if it's really hot, I will combine water, Gatorade 2 or G2, and salt tablets. Now, guys, putting just regular salt into your bottle isn't going to cut it. You have to find specialized salt tablets. And some don't even taste like salt. The ones I have taste kind of like fruity, and they dissolve. You can chew them. And what I do is I dissolve them into the Gatorade and water. So I have that balance of water, Gatorade, and salt in my bottle. So, and again, Amazon, other places have these salt tablets you can purchase.
yeah, and some running gels also will have some salt in them too. Like I know the Power Gel has salt as well.
Right.
But okay, so getting back to some more like general training in the heat tips, along with adjusting your workout and just doing less or moving your hard workouts to a cooler day, I would say to that, run earlier in the day or later in the day. But I find too that if you can get out there like 5, 6 a.m., it's going to be a lot cooler than it is later on in the day, certainly in the afternoon
Right.
when it's going to be at the hottest. So if you can, bite the bullet, get up early. Um, it's going to be a lot more comfortable. You're probably going to have a lot better of a run. So that's a tip I would have. I would have for people. I know the evening works as well, although I do find that it is cooler in the morning, um, for the most part. But yeah, and also just move the workouts. Do an easy day. If it's really really hot, just do it. Do an easy day. Just go out there and get your easy miles in. There's no need to hammer yourself in the heat. So I'd say that, and it's also like a safety thing too, because I know, like I've been out with like the running stroller before on like a really hot day, and I felt myself getting like dizzy from the heat, and that's the only time I've stopped and walked
Right.
was when I felt like I might like let go of the running stroller if I like if I pass out
Right.
or something. Um, yeah. So
Okay.
yeah. But
Yeah, I mean, and Doug, I just remember, and guys out there, if you're training for a race, as Doug said before, either go switch the days up, or go lighter one day. My strategy in the summer was, I usually didn't alter my workout. What I did was I looked at the weather patterns for that week, and what I did was I changed up my speed workouts or long runs to play into the weather.
yeah.
I also lived near a ATV trail, so I did a lot of my speed workouts on the trail because it was shaded. So if you can find shaded spots or shaded trails, that would help. And as Doug said, if morning is better. But if you can't go morning and you can't go during a time that's cooler, try to find a route that is shaded. And also try to adapt the workout for the day. It's going to be 90 degrees on a Wednesday, and you had a huge speed workout that day. You might want to change up the speed workout to the day before or day after.
Yeah.
You don't have to follow. And my other advice, everybody, if you're on a running plan, you don't have to follow it to a T.
And you
that was
shouldn't.
my problem.
Yeah, mine as well. And you shouldn't follow it to a T because the person who wrote that plan, they don't know what the weather it's going to be for you, you know, on any given
And
day.
Doug, right? And Doug, and I love following plans to a T, but I also
Me
know
too.
that you can. But also, guys, what's also important is that you don't want to change your workout. Like, let's say that you have a long run on a Sunday. Let's say you have a maybe 10 miler or more, and don't put your speed workout on a Saturday. Make sure that those speed workouts are 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 the spacing between those is adequate, and also the spacing between the speed workouts and your long run is adequate. You want to make sure that you're not kind of trying to push everything together just to get the workouts in.
Yeah, if you yeah, exactly. Don't if you do have to move a run because of the heat or whatever, you might have to push on, another run back or just drop one. Drop a run for the week. Because if you do your training sessions, your hard training sessions, either because of length or intensity, if you do them too close together, that's no good, right? That's going to be counterproductive. But so Vanessa in chat says, hello Vanessa, and she says sunrise runs
Vanessa?
are where it's at. I agree. I agree. It's what I really do recommend the early morning runs because it's so like peaceful. You almost have the world to yourself. It's like a nice meditative experience, and it's cooler at
And
those early hours.
and
Yeah.
Doug, my motto, the term "drop it like it's hot," right?
Oh yeah.
My motto is drop it if it's hot.
Yeah.
Like
Okay. There you go.
drop the workout for that day if it's hot.
I like it. I like it.
Drop it if it's hot. Drop it if it's hot. You want to change, but don't drop it completely. You want to
Yeah.
change it so it's one of those that workout will lie on a cooler day of the week. Looking at weather patterns is important, even though it's unpredictable. It kind of isn't in a sense because it is somewhat accurate. You want to make sure that you know the weather patterns for the week.
Yeah. Modify it like it's hot. No,
Modify it like it's.
that doesn't really
Ugh,
ring as well.
it's really kind of like.
Yeah, but I'll say too that if you do go out and do your run, as written
Yeah.
when it's hot. Well, scratch that. If you do go out and run on a hot day, and maybe you do lessen the mileage you do or the intensity, you shouldn't feel bad about that because the heat is applying a stress of its own that is making the overall workout stress, even though you're running less or running easier. It's not really easier because you're running in all this heat. Your body is having to fight back that heat. So technically, your training adaptation, you're getting a similar adaptation as you would if you had run the full duration or at the intended pace on a cooler day. So just keep that in mind. I like to think that on like the hot days, I'm just like, the pace is not going to be where I'm going to get my stress from this workout. My training adaptation. It's not going to come from the pace. It's not going to come from the duration. It's going to come from the heat. Right? It's going to come there. So don't beat yourself up about it, which I think Brett and I both would do probably in our younger days. Take the heat. Uh,
Oh,
but
don't take the heat.
don't take the heat. But yeah,
Remember,
yeah.
drop it if it's hot, Doug.
Drop it if it's hot. Drop it if
It's
it's hot.
hot.
Well, one thing though you cannot drop. Well, you could, but you're not going to, which is a race that is on a hot day. Race organizers for the most part are not going to cancel a run if it's a hot day, and you kind of have to then adjust things for that race because you're not going to be able to hit all those training paces you were shooting to hit. Things are different now on race day, on a hot race day. And if you don't adjust, you can put yourself in for a world of hurt. And when we're talking about racing and racing in the heat, this is one of the reasons why I do not become a slave to my watch, right? I do not like to be looking at, what pace I'm running all the time. I really like to run by feel and get to know, the race effort, what it feels like in training. So that way, if my race is, a little hot, or the conditions are more ideal than I'm used to training in, they're cooler and drier, I know what the effort feels like, and so I'm gonna run, I think, closer to the appropriate effort on an adverse weather day than if I was just going by what my watch says,
Right.
or says I should be running, right? So we've talked on the show before about not being a slave to technology, but I definitely feel like on hot race days, that's really important. You've got to listen to your body that much more on hot days, and if that means running slower than what you hoped, that's what it means. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is.
Right.
I guess we'll get into story time. So when I ran the Boston Marathon, that, it's in the spring in New England,
Yep.
which the saying goes, if you don't like the weather in New England in the spring, wait an hour, right? Because it's gonna change. It could change drastically.
Right.
And Boston is kind of this, you don't know what it's gonna be. So Brett, listen up, running it next year.
Tell me what.
I'm telling you the truth here. There's a great degree of variability for Boston. It could be, freezing cold, or it could be 90 degrees. And I think, well, Brett, this is going to be different, you in Cambodia, but if you're training for it in like a temperate climate, it is kind of tricky where you're training over the winter months where it's pretty cold, right? It's winter. So you're used to training in the cold. Then you go to Boston and you lace up. And as in the case when I ran, it's like, mid-high 70s, and the sun is, beating down upon you, and you're like, ugh, this is different than what I've been training in.
Right.
It can be a real shock, and I think it behooves you to try and acclimatize. Like Brett said, the weather, you never know what the weather's going to be, but we do have these things called weather forecasts where you can look ahead, see, what it's going to be about a week ahead. And if it's going to be warmer than what you're used to, wear a heavier jacket than what you want, than what is comfortable for that week. Do whatever you can to try and get your body adjusted to the heat, because I'll say one thing, the Boston course has got no shade. There's not an inch of shade the whole course.
It throws
Yeah.
shade. It doesn't have shade.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
I'm like full of it. I just like
Yeah.
have like little quips.
Yeah. But yeah, so I think it's really important in Boston especially to be on top of the weather and to try to prepare as much as you can. But I know running Boston, like my previous marathons, the marathon did not feel hard in the first half, right? It started getting harder in the second half. But in Boston, I remember looking at like the first 10K mark and being like, that's it? That's
Right.
it? And that is not good, right? That is not good. You don't want to be thinking, wow, that's all we've gone at the 10K mark of a marathon. But that's what the heat does to you. The heat does to you. It makes it harder. Makes it harder. But when you're racing in the heat too, I think before the race, and this is something I did do well before Boston, is that I found a shady spot in the corral, near the corrals, and just laid down, tried to stay as cool as possible, as inactive as possible. I saw some other runners, chatting about in the sun, and I would advise against that. You see some runners they'll wear like these ice vests. Have you seen these things, Brett? these these like vests that have like like ice pads in them to
No,
lower the body temperature
no,
before the run.
no, dude. I don't. I'm
Well,
never gonna do it. I'm
yeah.
never gonna do
Well,
these things,
I
man.
think it was like Galen Rupp. I think it was like Galen Rupp I saw doing it.
Well,
Uh,
if he did it, I mean, like, no,
I mean,
he's a good.
when you're at that level, you're like any second you can knock off.
Yeah, no, of course. I
Yeah,
think if, yeah, right, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah. So really, from racing for me, I'll just reiterate: just like your training, you're gonna have to adjust, and that probably means a slower pace, and you're gonna have to be more patient and more disciplined. Do you want to add anything to that, Brad, or
In terms of
like on a
when
race
you
day?
are, yeah, race
Yeah,
day, you have to be, as Doug said, you have to be ready for you might have to change your expectations of that race. And
exactly.
also, my thing, Doug, is what I do in terms of getting ready for that race, a marathon, is I look for the hourly temperatures and humidity. So
Yeah,
even though it's a 3 hour race, I look at does the temperatures increase, decrease? Is there rain? Is there wind? I do take those things into consideration when I do prepare for a marathon. I'm like, is it gonna rain? The sun's, but I do prepare the day that weekend or that 2 days before it and look at the weather patterns for the day, um, and to kind of like expect things to happen.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, and
but
yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
yeah. And the same thing that we talked about in training goes for running and racing, in terms of getting those fluids in, getting the salt replenishment, and early and often. Don't wait to start taking your fluids in until you're out there on the course. While you're waiting, be drinking whatever your
And
sports drink is.
yeah,
Yeah,
and Doug also everything something else, guys, is that when you do go to a race, there is usually an expo where they have a bunch of vendors. And so what I do is I actually buy my gels, my salt tablets. I buy these things. I even bought my race outfit at the actual expo. And so again, guys, a marathon expo could be really great. It could not be so great, but a lot of them have a bunch of different vendors with different products, which are great products, by the way. Socks are key. I bought socks there that are designed for long distance running. They prevent chafing, things like blisters, things like that. But if you go to an expo, what?
no, you were talking about. So I'll wait till after you're done.
I went off track here. Yeah. So guys, yeah, salt tablets again. Don't do regular actual just salt tablet.
Yeah,
You
don't
have
take
to
like a salt
buy.
shaker and like.
People think people. I've had friends do that. I say don't forget you got to use, and they go, yeah, I put 2 tablespoons of salt into my bottle and I shook it up and I used it. I hated it. I go, no, you don't. You have to buy specialized salt tablets if you're going to do that. And usually, you can swallow them or there's some that you can't chew. I buy the ones that you can chew.
So the reason that I was laughing, merino wool is the sock material that one of my coworkers, we for our office Christmas party, we did like like a secret Santa, and he knew I was into running, so he bought me these merino wool socks. I think the brand was called like Sawtooth or something like that. And anyway, that was like the best. Usually you get a secret Santa gift and it's like, it like sucks. Right? It's like something stupid you're just gonna throw away or
I
be
don't do
gift.
it. I don't do it at my job. I avoid
You
it.
decline, you
I
opt
can't.
out, really?
Every year I don't do it.
Wow, okay.
Sorry,
Wow,
not
Grinchy.
sorry.
Grinch
Actually,
over
I'm
here.
good with. No, I just avoid it. I don't know if I don't like it.
Well, anyway, he got me these Sawtooth merino wool socks. And best Secret Santa gift ever. I mean, this was like 5 years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I still wear these socks to this day.
Wow.
So
Okay.
Steve, you're the man.
Good job, Steve.
You did well.
So
You did well.
yeah, you can get like one of those like beach towels or like like friggin' like like a I don't know, a pint glass or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
But yeah, guys. I mean, yeah, Doug. I mean, just the whole gear thing. Like I realized like socks are like I was just wearing regular sort of running socks, but there are ones out there that I've had some bad experiences with running, with like having toenails ripped off during a race, soaked, like blood-soaked shoe because of it, limping to the finish. So I
oh yeah.
changed up my sock game, and these socks again they are designed to a lot of them are designed to avoid chafing and blistering, and also like water resistant.
Right, and wicking so that they don't, it doesn't become this like, slosh of like wool in there that like rubs
Right.
against your toe. Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. But I think the hardest thing about running in the heat or racing in the heat, is the psychological factor. It's letting go, like Brett, like you said, adjusting those expectations. You've really got to be okay with running slower than you hoped for, right? And I think change your mindset from time to
Right.
place, to place, because everybody else has got to run in these same adverse conditions, and change your mindset to more of like, okay, I'm going to compete against these other runners and try to get a good
Right.
place. Make that your focus instead of time. We've become so running is such a time focused sport, even on the elite level where they're getting paced, and if they're not hitting a certain time, they'll drop out of a race. You know what I mean? But it's a competition as well, and you can find contentment and pleasure from just competing against other runners, running with other runners, and see how you do against everybody, and make that
Right.
your focus. I think that's a good strategy for me. But oh man, I am just like running. I'm done with the heat. Just like running in the heat, I'm done with it. So let's go ahead and move on to the miles ahead. Don't pull something, Brett. Don't pull something.
Okay. Miles
Yeah,
ahead, Doug.
yeah.
So maybe you'll run more now. Try to avoid all those people trying to get you for being here, like from New York, chasing you.
Yeah, I might be
You
running
might
away
have
from
to
like Mainers in their big trucks, running me down, trying to
get out of our state.
trying to get with me. By the way, Kitty says hi.
Oh,
Hello, Kitty. Thanks for watching.
hello, Kitty. Thank you.
So yeah, I mean, I haven't noticed too much of that so far. I went to like the post office here today, and
Pitchforks are and they're out there and
people saw my New
they're
York plates and they were like, "What? Get away from me!" No, nothing like that. Nothing like that.
no,
But
just Doug, just tell them like, don't worry. Just say you had COVID, but now it's over.
yeah, yeah, I had it.
They'll be
It's past
told.
already.
They'll be totally fine with that too.
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. But yeah, for me, it's just gonna be, I'm on vacation next week, so I'm looking forward to just having some easy runs. I'm looking forward to running with you, Brett. If we get together,
Yeah,
hopefully
Doug.
we can
I
get that
think
going.
yeah, my last month in the States for a while.
Yeah,
I think we should maybe appropriately end on our running together podcast
yeah,
when I come see you guys, you and the family. Kind of ending it on us running together. And again, guys, it won't be live, but it will be episode 10.
yeah. I looked into the cellular data usage that it would take to stream from my GoPro using my phone as a hotspot. And I was like, No, that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna like run through my monthly allotment in like under an hour. So it is gonna be a pre-recorded show next week. So I'll take the GoPro out. I'll tell everybody in the neighboring community to come out and watch Brett talking into a GoPro as he's running, and we'll get it done. So it's gonna be a pre-recorded show next week. It will not be live, but yeah, no. So and that's it. So aside from that, Brett, does you moving to Cambodia, does that kind of change your training focus? Because I know you were ramping up. Are you now going to kind of like, hold back a little bit?
I
Because
think.
you probably have more plan. You're probably a little bit busier. You got to, do some planning and stuff like that.
I mean, I gotta run a school, help get the school going and run it,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
I have to look at how much responsibility, my work schedule, and also when I'm able to run.
yeah,
Um, but I'm gonna make it work, and I mean, I'll train for Boston, and it's gonna be a crazy year, but I'll be back, everybody, in April for Boston if it's still going on. So.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, man. So I will keep everybody updated, maybe through our podcast site. Doug can upload some stuff for me that I kind of sent him. So it may be over in terms of our episodes, but but the site is not over. We will, Doug.
We get,
We will continue to do things here and there. Correct.
yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty obvious we got to get you a GoPro. I mean, so
You
you
know
can
what?
pre-record
You know
some
what?
stuff.
Our school is a big advocate of the GoPro. So if I can convince them to give me one for free,
Oh, okay,
I
there we
think we're
go.
all set.
There we go. Uh, it's pretty cool. I love mine not just for running, but also just for general use. It's a good investment. So there you go. But okay, so that is it for me. Brad, I think that's it for you. Let me know if I'm wrong. And I want to thank
That's
you.
it for me, guys.
Yeah, yeah. I want to thank you guys for watching today's show. Do know that we do have this is show number 9. So we've got 8 more on the channel, Run Race Repeat. So go ahead and check it out. We've talked about everything from nutrition to our the hardest one tips that we've learned over the years. There's lots for runners to kind of chew on, and we'd love for you to comment as well with your running tips or your running experiences. We'd love to hear it. So until next time, again, we will not be live next week, but we will have a show, a pre-recorded special show, a kind of sunset show of at least this iteration of Run Race Repeat. So until then, hope your running is going really well and everybody's staying safe and having a great summer. So take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.